Let's continue with the evaluation and metrics for the authors, and in this second lecture. So I'm going to talk about the H-index and related metrics, alternative newer metrics, collecting metrics for yourself, and then the analysis of your metrics. All of this in this lecture. So what's the H-index and related metrics to the H-index? Invented by Hirsch in 2005, presented. The H-index represents the number of papers H with a citation number equal or higher than H. So a scientist with an H-index of 20 has 20 papers cited at least 20 times. As is normally understood, the H-index provides a reward consistently, a consistent stream of high impact publications. This is the idea, but it doesn't give any accurate measure for early career researchers. So if you are early career, obviously you have published very little, and your H-index is going to be very small, because you need to wait a long time for your papers to be cited sufficiently, right? So there are other related indices that I'm not going to enter the definition, G-index, contemporary H-index, that are not very used. Actually, some people don't even know that they exist. If you want to have a list of all the indices related to this H-index and the variations, you can visit this website, harcin.com, in this link. I'm going to mention this one in the next slide anyway, so because this company has a software that I will suggest you to download and install in your computer if you want to use it, but that will be the next slide. But again, these are other related indices that very few people use, so I'm not going to enter into this. Everyone uses the H-index. Now these indices, it doesn't matter which one, G-index, H-index, favor academics that publish more papers. So if you haven't published, let's say that an academic is publishing an important paper, but it doesn't publish much. Some academics publish a lot of papers, and other scientists publish very few papers. So to evaluate the impact of academics or people that have published one or two important papers, but the rest of the papers have not been that good, then the total number of citations may be a more appropriate metric. Let's say that a person just published a couple of papers that have 300 citations, and then 10 papers that have 5 citations. Then the H-index will be essentially very low, very small. So the concept behind this is that the H-index is always, any index or any metric is always problematic, depending on the type of work that you do or your experience, is always problematic. But anyway, people use constantly these indices, and it's important for you to know about them. Now here, this is the software that I was mentioning before. You can download this from Harcin. It's called Publish or Perish, and it's been around for many years, maybe 15 years or more. And the interesting thing is that you can install in your computer, and then you can run a search about H-indexes or academics or papers to detect or to see metrics. So you can directly use search. You can search from your computer, Crossref or Google Scholar or PubMed if you want. Now you can also, if you have an account or you have access to Scopus, you can actually will be able to do it from your computer instead of going to Scopus or to the Web of Science. But you need access. You need to some external subscription and so on. So what do you do when you do a search? It will show you this. For example, I conducted a search directly from Google Scholar, and then in this search, I'm not mentioning which one, it just gives 87 papers, 703 citations, with an average of 20 citations per paper. And here it will give you, in this part, it will give you the information about all the the metrics. And so it's an interesting software that you want to try or keep it to search for yourself or your metrics all in one place. It's quite useful. Now there are now newer alternative metrics that are not related to the H-index, and then these newer metrics are used by institutions to track faculty research performance, in addition to the more standard metrics like the citation counts on the H-index. Now, from the author's point of view, some of these newer metrics can be used as dissemination tools, for example, Altmetric, and I will mention this in section 5. So Altmetrics is one of them. It's a newer metric because in reality it gives you the impact of your research in some form, the Altmetric number, and it works by tracking mentions of papers in multiple sources of information. You can see how this is used in Altmetric. You can visit directly this link or any other in Altmetric to understand how it works. They use multiple sources. I think it's 20 or 25, 24 sources of information in order to create the Altmetric number. So this is useful if you want to demonstrate that you have a very high Altmetric number, and you can put that for a particular publication, and so that shows that tracks the performance. Your performance should be higher than another person that doesn't have any big Altmetric number. Another way to track the faculty research impact and performance, another metric, is to use something called Plumex metrics, and this is similar to Altmetric, but is offered only to institutions or publishers, so you cannot sign up for this metric yourself. So you want to get acquainted with these Plumex metrics. You can visit plumeanalytics.com and you will see the description of how do they use this. But the concept is similar, but it's not the same. They don't use the same sources. The approach is different. This one in Plumex metrics. The reality is that this is basically used mostly from publishers. This is not used from institutions. This is mostly from publishers. And it's an alternative. I mentioned it's an alternative, although the majority of people will know and use Altmetric, not this one. But still, it's something that you should know that it exists. Respect to the collecting metrics. So you may need to collect your own metrics from your publications when you need them for annual evaluations in your workplace to update your CV for prospective job searchers, or when sending grant applications. So all of these metrics are useful for you if you want to include that as part of your background or experience or the importance of your work, the dissemination of your work, right? Now you can collect these global metrics from a number of sources. I just mentioned some of them. Google Scholar is probably the most common. You can use research networks like Mendeley, or you can collect the author information reported in Scopus or in the Web of Science. So this is probably one good idea because it has a lot of precise information about your background, the publications, all your citations, or co-authors, areas in which you have collaborated, and so on. So this one is really good. You may also check if you are an author that has a lot of or high Altmetric numbers. Then you may actually take a look and see what are these numbers and put them in your CV for your evaluation. You can also use Dimensions. I just look at this company and in artificial intelligence, and they have a number of websites and tools and applications that I will mention in section 5. So you can collect some metrics for yourself in this place. Now, using metrics in your CV, some researchers may simply use the H-index, say, well, my H-index is 8 or 50 or 60, and the number of publications and the global number of citations. That should be enough for most people using in their CV. So in addition to for each published article listed in your CV, you can also collect, indicating the year the info was collected, this information. For example, the journal impact factor, the citations for that article, the downloads or views for that article, and the Altmetric values. And I'm going to show you next a couple of ideas on how to do this and how to analyze this. This is the analysis that I was mentioning. It's important to do. So, but you can collect all of this information if you want for each one of the articles that you have published. Some of the I remember some universities or some people are actually requiring you to put more precisely what's the impact factor or all of these metrics next to your CV for each one of them when you are applying, for example, for a faculty position or looking for a job. So that's important to collect. So you have a lot of publications. It may take a lot of time, but what I'm referring is that there are some places when you apply, you need to tell them this article, the impact factor of the journal is this one, the citations that I got are this, the number of downloads are this, and you do this, the Altmetric if there are any, and then you do this for each one of your publications. That's when you apply for a job, for example. So it's something that some people may require from you. Now let's look at the analysis of the metrics that I mentioned before. So you might want to evaluate your metrics in different ways. I mentioned two. So this is one. So here in this article that I just randomly selected, you can see that it has many citations and views, but the Altmetric is very low. So you see the Altmetric number is about 19, and the number of citations is almost 1,200, and it has been accessed or viewed more than 173 times. That is for the article published in 2008. So what's the deal here? And the deal is that you see that this article has a lot of citations, is almost 1,200 citations, a lot of them, a lot of views, hundreds of thousands of citations, but the Altmetric is very low, it's just 19. So what the reason is that some areas of research are less susceptible to Altmetric. The hard sciences or engineering, for example, this nanoscale research letter that is talking about nanoparticles, it's not going to have a very big Altmetric, and this is from 2008 actually. So Altmetric may work better for paper published in top journals. This is not top journal, it's a good one, but it's not Nature or Science. And the reason is that Altmetric also shows immediacy. So when the paper is published, pick up some mentions, then you will see an increase. But 2 months or 6 months later, then nobody is going to mention anything else. So this is one way of to do the analysis. The second analysis is regarding this example of this in these metrics. Notice that this article has this is a real article. It has almost 2,000 views, but 0 citations in Web of Science or in Crossref, and just one Altmetric. So what's the analysis that you can make of this? Many views or downloads, but low citation. So the idea here is maybe the title and the abstract are attractive for the reader. So people just see the title and the abstract and say, I'm going to read this. But then the content or whatever is inside is not that attractive for people to remember and then cite the article. So that can make you think that probably the content is something that is not that important or attractive to other people. Now you compare with this one. It has half of the views, but it has about around 140 citations, right? And 6 are metrics. Metric is not much, but a good number of citations. So this is what you want to achieve. You want to achieve is this number of citations, regardless of the BIOS, and that means that people are actually interested in the content, and they remember the content, and then they remember that and they cite the article. So you see the different analysis that you need to do of your metrics to think what's the content of your paper, if you are doing a good job in your title or in your abstract, or what may be the reason behind this difference, right? So if you are interested in more metrics, my suggestion is that you take a look at this website, metricstoolkit.org. There is a long list of different metrics in different applications. It's quite interesting, so visit this website. The next lesson is about an activity that I'm going to propose about these issues with the authors and the metrics, and searching for information about authors. An interesting activity.